Hi there, strikers. There's something uniquely disturbing about people vanishing into thin air. Read about these incredibly strange, unsolved cases. Although these disappearances span centuries, locations, age ranges, and circumstances, there's one common thread shared between them: a lack of closure. There are theories, speculations, and investigations, but never a decisive answer. On our incoming episode, I'm going to feature some of the cases of mysterious disappearances, of some missing that just disappear without any trace. Disappearance of Lynette Dawson. Lynette Sims and Chris Dawson, both aged 16, met at a high school function in 1965. They were married in 1970 at St. Jude's Church, Randwick in Sydney, and later had 2 children. Between 1972 and 1976, Chris and his identical twin brother Paul played professional rugby league football for the Newtown Jets. In 1975, the Dawson brothers and their spouses appeared on the ABC documentary program Checkerboard to discuss how the twins' close bond affected their lives. After ending their rugby careers, the Dawson brothers found employment as physical education teachers, with Chris working at Cromer High School near Sydney. Both Chris and Paul are alleged to have regularly engaged in illicit sexual behavior with female students at their respective schools. Chris is further alleged to have been one of 6 male teachers who preyed on students at Cromer High School. In 1981, Chris groomed and slept with Cromer student Joanne Curtis, who temporarily moved into the Dawson family residence in Bayview at Chris' invitation. She permanently moved into the residence on the 10th of January 1982, 2 days after Lynette's disappearance. Lynette was phoned by her mother on 8 January 1982, the last time they would communicate with each other. She planned to meet her mother and family at Northbridge Baths the following day, but she never arrived. Chris didn't report his wife as missing until the 18th of February 1982, 6 weeks after she had vanished. He claimed that she left after marital problems caused over her bank card spending. In a statement to police, Chris suggested that she had joined a religious organization. He finalized divorce proceedings against Dawson in 1983, and the following year married Curtis after investigations by the New South Wales Police proved inconclusive. The NSW state coroner conducted 2 coronial inquiries into Lynette's disappearance. At the first inquest held in February 2001, the deputy state coroner Jan Stevenson determined that Lynette had been murdered and that her killer was someone she knew. The coroner recommended charges be laid. However, Nicholas Cowdery QC, the NSW Director of Public Prosecutions, assessed that there was insufficient evidence for a criminal conviction. A second inquest, held in February 2003 by State Coroner Karl Milovanovich, recommended Chris be charged with Lynette's murder. Cowdery again refused to prosecute Dawson, citing the lack of evidence. In April 2018, following extensive investigations, NSW Police requested the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions to review its brief of evidence. Chris was arrested in Queensland in December 2018, extradited to New South Wales, and charged with the murder of his first wife. He was granted bail and in June 2019 pleaded not guilty to her murder. In February 2020, Chris was committed to stand trial for the murder of Dawson. He is also facing a charge of carnal knowledge with a girl between the ages of 10 and 17, relating to his affair with Curtis, who he had divorced in 1993, while still teacher at Cromer High School. A former Australian school teacher accused of killing his wife, in a case that was the subject of a popular crime podcast, will face trial for murder, a judge has ruled. Chris Dawson, 72, has been on bail since his arrest in December 2018. He has pleaded not guilty and has consistently denied killing Lynette Dawson, who disappeared in 1982. His lawyers tried to get the case thrown out, arguing his right to a fair trial had been risked by the podcast. In a summary of the case, New South Wales, NSW, Supreme Court Justice Elizabeth Fullerton noted that Mr. Dawson's legal team had directed considerable criticism towards the serialized podcast. The accused also contended that his trial will be irredeemably unfair because of the nature and extent of public commentary across a range of electronic media and social media platforms concerning Lynette Dawson's disappearance and her suspected murder. The judge said that no application for a permanent stay of proceedings, which Mr. Dawson's lawyers sought, had ever been granted before on the basis of a podcast and the subsequent media storm. Her Honor was left in no doubt that the adverse publicity in this case, or, more accurately, the unrestrained and uncensored public commentary about Lynette Dawson's suspected murder, is the most egregious example of media interference with a criminal trial process which this court has had to consider in deciding whether to take the extraordinary step of permanently staying a criminal prosecution. She ordered that the trial does not proceed before June 2021 to allow commentary on the case to dissipate and allow Mr. Dawson to have a fair trial. An inquest in 2003 heard that Mr. Dawson had sexual relationships with teenage students during his marriage, including with the family's babysitter at the time of his wife's disappearance. Prosecutors have previously maintained there was insufficient evidence to lay charges. However, in December 2018, following the podcast, Mr. Dawson was extradited from his home in Queensland to New South Wales, where he posted a $1.5 million bond for bail. The podcast highlighted the bungled handling of Mrs. Dawson's case by police in the early years after her disappearance, prompting a recent apology from the state's police commissioner.